Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Cheers. Good morning. Good morning. What is going on, everybody? Oh, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. We got a busy show today. They're fun shows last 30 days or so. Pretty actually fun to kind of talk some hoops with everybody. Got a lot of good conversations coming out of these podcasts and this morning show and the post-game show. So I appreciate you guys being here. If you were here last night, obviously a part of the post-game show, Lakers took down the Cleveland Cavaliers. Another very, very impressive game. Lakers finished the month of March 15-2. Tomorrow night, Lakers taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. That post-game show we're going to do from Harrah Resort, SoCal. Man, a lot going on here. Got a lot of topics that I got to get into. I'll get my rundown going. Nonetheless, I appreciate you guys being around. About 300 subscribers away from getting to 35,000 subscribers. Doesn't it just sound so much cleaner to be at 35,000 subscribers? If you don't mind subscribing to the channel, I would appreciate it very much. Nonetheless, thank you all for being here. And we got a good show lined up. Let me give everyone an idea what we're going to do topics-wise. Then we'll take a look at some of the comments, and then we will get the show started. So April 1st today, I'm a big prankster. You know, everybody kind of knows me as just a huge prankster. So you can only imagine how many pranks I have today. The month of March is done. Just an incredible month for the Los Angeles Lakers. I got it right here. Obviously, the 15-2 mark. They hit so many interesting thresholds, kind of a make it or break it month. And not only did they make it, they took themselves to a completely different level. We'll talk about what they were able to accomplish in the month of March and just how impressive it was. Luka's incredible run. All right, there's some more that's kind of going against Luka Doncic. And for some reason, the MVP conversation, every time it comes up, somebody's got something negative to say about Luka. They got nothing negative to say about everybody else. It's kind of an interesting storyline. Might have to have Eric hop on the show. Eric is my producer who's working in the background, part of iHeart, and is also obviously a part of this show. He says the reason why Luka is getting so much hate is because he's a Los Angeles Laker. I don't know if I completely agree with that. I'll let him make his case in a little bit. JJ Redick did something that no coach has done for the Los Angeles Lakers since Phil Jackson in 2009 to 2011, 2 years in a row. 50-plus win seasons for JJ Redick. We'll hit on that. I think that's obviously going to be a great conversation to have. Give that man his credit, and then also, you know, understand that JJ Redick's going to make his name not in the regular season, but in the postseason. He'll get a chance to do that here in really the next couple of weeks. Week and a half, the regular season is done. 2.5 weeks, we're going to be starting NBA playoffs. So it's one of the more exciting times of the year. I know for those who are obviously big NBA fans, as we are here, I know a lot of people that are on this channel are big NBA fans. It's a fun time of the year that we're walking into. Interesting article from Dave McMenamin talking about potentially LeBron's future. Another article in Forbes pointing out how much LeBron would be worth value-wise. Like, how much should you have him on your roster for next season? And if I'm being honest with you, we've kind of thrown out some numbers, and I'm just kind of guessing and blind on it, pretty close to what we've said. So I think that's going to be an interesting conversation. Talk a little bit about Austin Reaves. Marcus Smart misses another game. I really, really would like to see him tomorrow against the Oklahoma City Thunder, because I do think the Lakers are their best version of themselves when he's playing rather than if he's not playing. Then we'll get into some NBA news, and I got to play for everybody a little bit later in the show, Mark Cuban, who was on a podcast, and he was talking about his regret of selling the franchise. And if you guys want to go back to having these conversations about Luka Doncic, this does not happen unless Mark Cuban sells the franchise to Dumon and the Adelson family. That's the only way that Luka Doncic becomes a Los Angeles Laker. Or maybe there's another conspiracy theory, which listen, I've told you guys this. The moment that Luka got traded to the Lakers, I'm in on every conspiracy theory. If I wasn't in on conspiracy theories before, every game I watch Luka Doncic play with the Lakers, and then Cooper Flags ends up with the Mavs, I'm in. No one can convince me otherwise about these conspiracy theories. I'm in. So thank you very much for being here. That's going to be our topics for the day. I got some sound from JJ I want to play. Got something from Rui that I want to play. Dave McMenamin, and then the Mark Cuban thing that I mentioned. So we'll be mixing in a little bit of sound as we go through the show as well. Let's take a look at a couple of the comments here to get things started. Let's see what people are saying. Hey, Slee, why is Luka held to a different standard than Jokic, who won it 3 times, and Curry, who both don't play defense? I'm being honest with you. I'm not sure. I think that's something that I'm trying to figure out. I've been saying this since last week when it was, who was it? Mike Wilbon. Wilbon had said something about, I'm not, kind of went out of his way to disparage Luka. And, I kind of reached that point. I'm like, why are we not pretending that all these other players don't have any flaws? By the way, why don't people say, I'll give you an example, that Jaylen Brown doesn't have the offensive game that Luka has, which is why Jaylen Brown can't control a game offensively the way Luka can, which is why I'm voting Luka for MVP over Jaylen Brown. I'm not telling you should do that. I'm just saying that the only negative I hear when it comes to the MVP chatter, honestly, is around Luka. So I'm still trying to figure out why that's the reason. Coffee tasting great this morning, Slee. Great month. Cheers, brother. Jason, cheers to your coffee. When I take my drive-in, and this is not all the time, I'm still kind of, I just took that radio gig here recently. Today will be the 3rd day that I'm doing the show in San Diego. But when I come to the office, and the office is in Solana, I exit a couple Solana Beach. I exit a couple exits early. I got a coffee stop that I stop at. It's actually a pretty good place here in San Diego. I don't know if they got a ton of locations in SD, but it's called Better Buzz Coffee, and it says life's better buzzed. Be honest. Before I grabbed the cup of coffee, I didn't have a buzz. Now, got a little bit of a buzz. What the hell are they putting in this thing? What are they putting in this thing? All right, let's get some more in here. Let's see what we got here. Okay, everybody else saying, of course, he's getting hate, talking about Luka. I'm not too worried about it, but it just, it's found its ways to get a little bit annoying as all this conversation has continued, but we'll continue the conversation either way. All right, let's get the show started. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys all being a part of the show. I got a couple things I'll pump a little bit later about promoting the stuff for Harrah tomorrow, so we'll do that in a little bit. But for now, let's get the show started, and we'll go from there. 15-2 in the month of March. Last night was the last test for the Lakers in the month of March. Do you guys remember this? And I think it's important to point this out because I want to talk a little bit about the win yesterday against the Cavs. And then, by the way, not just a win, just dominating the Cleveland Cavaliers. They made the Cavs look like one of these teams in the Eastern Conference that are playing for a lottery team. I'll start out with the Cavs, and then we'll get into the big picture of what the Lakers did in the month of March. So yesterday, the Lakers had a stretch where they outscored the Cavs in the second and the third quarter by 29 points. I think it was by 14 in the second quarter and 15 by the third quarter, something like that. But when the dust settled, the second and the third quarter, Lakers outscored the Cleveland Cavaliers by 29 points. Let me kind of give you a little background on the Cavs, which I know you guys already know, but it will help make my case here. The Cavs are not a bad team. They're definitely not an awful team. They're a talented team. They're a squad that has got a chance to make some noise in the Eastern Conference. I wouldn't say they're in the class of Detroit. I also wouldn't say they're in the class of the Boston Celtics, and there's only 2 teams that are in that class. I think it's those 2 squads in the Eastern Conference, but give a lot of credit, obviously to those 2 teams for holding ground in the Eastern Conference. But the Knicks and the Cavs, those should be the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference. We'll see what happens. Maybe Philly gets in the mix. Maybe, you could pick whichever team that you want that could potentially get into the mix. But the Cavs are not a trash team, I think, is the point that I'm trying to make here. They're also one of the more high-powered offenses in the NBA. And here's what the Lakers did to the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. They blew them out where the fourth quarter, the Cavs decided we're benching all of our players. Here are the stats of their best players. Jared Allen, 18 points. Most of that came in the first half. James Harden, 17 points and 3 assists. That's it. James Harden didn't do anything other than 17 points and 3 assists. Donovan Mitchell, 10 points, 3 rebounds, went 4 of 10 from the field. I've watched Donovan Mitchell a ton, especially when he was in Utah. Obviously, the Lakers would play them a ton in the Western Conference. I don't ever remember seeing a game where Donovan Mitchell only had 10 points and just 2 points in the first half. Evan Mobley, just 8 points and 4 rebounds. They dominated the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. It was one of their more impressive victories because of how they played, because of how they dominated, because this was never a game. However you want to look at it, it was very impressive what the Lakers did to the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. But that was just one of the impressive games in the month of March. Here's where the Lakers are. And this is what made last night, I think there was a lot of milestones for the Lakers that they had last night. And then obviously in the month of March, just remarkably impressive with that 15-2 record. With the win yesterday, the Lakers won the Pacific Division, clinched a playoff berth, also because the Suns lost to the Magic. They don't got to worry about the play-in tournament or any of that stuff. That's it. They're in. Now the question is just when can they lock up the number 3 seed? Back-to-back 50-win season, something they haven't done since 2009 through 2011, so those 2 seasons. LeBron becomes the all-time wins leader, including playoffs, with 1,229 wins. Luka becomes the 3rd youngest player in NBA history with 15,000 points. Luka passed Kobe for most points in a month for the Lakers since the 1966-1967 season. Luka scores 600 points for the entire month of March, first player to have 600 points in the month of March since Michael Jordan did it in 1987. I mean, I can go up and down the list of just how impressive the month of March was for the Lakers. But most importantly, they went 15-2. JJ Redick was asked this question after the game. So in the post-game show yesterday, what changed? What happened? How come you guys have dominated so much in the month of March? Remember, this was, and Eric, we could cue up JJ Redick here, but let me just kind of remind everybody as we walked into the month of March what this month meant. It was kind of everything was stale. There was no confidence in the Lakers. There was no confidence of where the Lakers were sitting. There was no confidence that the Lakers can make any noise. There was no confidence Lakers can beat teams over 500. There was no confidence that the Lakers were really going to play probably into May, as in you make it to the playoffs and then you're out. There was no confidence Lakers would have home court advantage. There wasn't a guarantee that they would stay out of the play-in tournament. They went 15-2 in the month of March. The conversation about, well, can the Lakers beat good teams? They beat the Knicks. They beat the Timberwolves. They beat the Nuggets. They beat the Rockets twice. They beat Miami. They beat the Magic. They beat the Cavs. Their only 2 losses that they had were competitive losses at Denver and at Detroit. You can't ask for a better month of March. Let's take a listen to JJ Redick and figure out what changed.
I think it was a confluence of things, starting with health. I think it's much easier when you have a consistent stretch of health to sort of not even buy in, but settle in to roles and minutes and rotations. We never found that throughout the season. Another big part of that was the second part of roles is just, guys really just embracing things.
Let's pause it right there.
I think
we'll come back. I want to play more of it. I think just to break down this as we go, here's what happened in the month of March that I think is the most important thing. Because yes, look, these don't get me wrong, the health, of course, is a big part of it. But it's been weird. I mean, it's not even – I don't think Austin Reaves had a good March. Marcus Smart has missed the last 4 or 5 games, so it's not like he's been there the entire time. Rui has missed some games. Luke obviously had the 1-game suspension. The roles thing that I think he's talking about might be the most critical thing that happened in the month of March. You know what was not a conversation in March? What's LeBron's role? What's LeBron's usage? You know what wasn't a conversation, at least in the last 3 weeks in the month of March? Is DeAndre Ayton bought in? Like, is this guy, does he want to play a role, or is this guy just worried about his own individual stats? There was never a conversation of, is Rui happy coming off the bench? Is Luke Kennard good with what his role is? Is Marcus Smart good with just being kind of the leader of this team and almost a captain role, even though he's not the best player? Does Jackson Hayes know his role? Does Jake LaRavia know his role? For me, there's clarity for everybody's role. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. Doesn't mean they can't lose games. Doesn't guarantee them anything in the playoffs. But this team is clearly built around Luka Doncic, and then everything else just kind of goes from there. But I think his point about defining everybody's role and everyone just kind of buying into it, that to me, what I think is probably the most important thing that happened in March, other than Luka Doncic having one of the most incredible months that you can have. Let's play a little bit more of JJ.
Luka has had as good of a month as anybody that I can remember in modern NBA, at least since I've been part of it. Certainly LeBron has had those, Harden has had those, Steph has had those, but he just played phenomenally this month, and then everyone else just had huge impacts. AR getting healthy, LeBron on both ends of the floor, DA and Jackson really just filling in and doing what they need to do to help this team win at a high level. Luke, Rui, they're shooting.
I think that's good there. We can stop right there. So you get kind of the idea here of why things changed in the month of March. And I don't care how healthy you got, and I don't care how great Luka was. 15-2 is just absurd. And listen, there's only a few teams that are in that class. The difference is they've been doing it for longer than the Lakers have, but the Spurs are probably in that class when it comes to what they did in March. The Thunder are probably in that class. The Celtics are probably in that class. I think there are 4 teams better than the Lakers right now in the NBA. And I think that those 4 teams could all win an NBA championship. We'll see what happens. And until the Lakers get to play those teams and show that they can beat them, I have them on the outside looking in. And I don't think the Lakers have done anything wrong. It's just you lost to the Pistons when Cade Cunningham was not there. The Boston Celtics are, I think, the best team in the Eastern Conference, and Tatum came back, so they're going to be in a class of their own. And the San Antonio Spurs and Oklahoma City Thunder, give them credit for what they've done all season. The only way that you can kind of get a gauge if you can be in that conversation is tomorrow when you play the Oklahoma City Thunder at OKC. OKC still has something to play for. I think both of these teams are going to come out mano a mano. Let's see what you got. And it's going to be a more important game for the Lakers than it is going to be for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But just an incredible, obviously an incredible month of March. I saw Jake LaRavia say something in the post-game show too. I think just our chemistry is getting better off the court and on the court, and I think you can see it in the way we're playing together. They do seem connected. They all do seem like they have a role, and it's been fun to watch. And the Lakers have put themselves in a conversation that nobody, when we were finishing off the month of February, I think their streak kind of started here. They had a game February 28th against the Golden State Warriors, and they won that game. And then that kind of started this, and they blew out the Warriors. That kind of started this, all right, starting to beat up on the bad teams. Well, what does it matter? And you beat the Knicks, you're like, that's kind of impressive. And you took care of Minnesota, it's like, hey, that's kind of impressive. And then obviously it's been a trickle-down effect, and the Lakers just had one of the better months I can remember. And, I've obviously been watching Lakers basketball for a long time. I don't remember a 15-2 stretch. 17 games is a lot in 1 month. It's the most games they were going to play all season. It was the toughest stretch that they were going to have, and they were flawless. I can't find a flaw in what they were able to do. And listen, did they have some games where they probably could have lost? The Denver game, sure. There were some games that came down the wire. Did Orlando execute poorly in the game? Absolutely, no question about it. But they also played brilliant basketball, and last night against the Cavs was one of the examples. Okay, let's take a look here at some of the comments, and then we'll keep things rolling here. And the next conversation we'll get into will be a little bit more of the Luka chatter. Luka, by the way, his numbers in the month of March were just ridiculous as well. There's data that backs up that they hardly ever give out awards to Laker players. Okay? Send me in that data. I want to see the data. Might have to have you help be part of these pre-shows if you got data that I don't have. Luka is held to a different standard because he's a Laker. Okay, we'll get into that in just a little bit. Yep, Jake is finding his shot again, is promising. Yeah, for Jake LaRavia, went 5 for 5 yesterday, hit a couple of threes. Just this man just needs some kind of confidence. I mean, he's out there shooting like he's me. It's like, yeah, Jake, have a little bit more confidence in your jumper. I got a couple supers here that I'm going to get to, and then we could have that conversation about Luka. Which, listen, it's the Luka conversation is an interesting one in itself, and I enjoy having it. It's a little annoying as well because I think there's a frustration to it, but we'll keep going here. Took care of patients early today so I could watch your morning show about the Luka MVP race. Dr. Khan, the man right here. Awesome. Look at you. Handling business and handling work. Well, I appreciate the 5 spot, number one. Number two, take care of your patients. Don't worry about me. I mean, you could always watch the show after. Make sure they're well taken care of, which I'm sure that you're doing. But thank you, A, for being a part of the show. Thank you for being the super, and I appreciate the kind words right there of getting ready for the show. Let's get some more comments in here. Again, I'm going to repeat that OKC Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs look very vulnerable, and they are beatable. Antonio, I don't know what that's based off of. I don't know where they've looked vulnerable. So I would need you to kind of give me some more context, because every time that I watch the San Antonio Spurs, I think, have some vulnerability because of lack of experience, but they keep winning games. They keep winning games, and they look impressive in the process. And to be honest with you, the San Antonio Spurs were not supposed to be good this early. They're supposed to be good a little bit later, not this early in the mix, and they are. And the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're the defending champs. Now, yesterday they played a game, or maybe it was the night before. I think they played the Pistons, the OT game. Jalen Williams didn't play. Isaiah Hartenstein didn't play. So hopefully they're full strength, ready to go tomorrow, so the Lakers can have a good gauge against the Oklahoma City Thunder. All right, let's get some more in here. Lot of people. Rui hit 5K career points as well. You're right about that. You know, I saw that in there. I skipped over it. The disrespect from Sliwa. Please don't put JJ and Phil in the same sentence, Alan. Well, I have to. One, I'm not putting them in the same sentence because I think JJ Redick is the next Phil Jackson. But if you're going to throw out the stat that the Lakers have two 51 win seasons in a row, it hasn't been done since Phil was the head coach of the Lakers. I have to put them in the same conversation. I'm not saying they're the same resume. I'm just saying that in order for me to get out there's a head coach for the Lakers that has two regular seasons with 50-plus seasons. It was J.J. Redick in these last 2 years. It was Phil Jackson from 2009 to 2011. Again, I'm not saying he's Phil Jackson. I'm just giving you the stat. And frankly, that's wildly impressive, and we should be pointing out and pumping out that stat because I think there's something to it. I think it's obviously impressive to see what he's done. All right, we'll keep the conversation going. And let's see what we got here. Yep. Okay, we'll keep the conversation going. And I want to play a couple of things here real quick. And, Luka obviously suspended in the game before, and he comes in yesterday. I thought this was interesting. If you want to have the conversation about the MVP, let's actually put this up. Do me a favor, Eric. Put up the tweet from the Lakers social media team that very, very not discreet, but quietly made a little bit of a kind of a case for Luka Doncic. I'll show you guys that in just a second. But the night before, SGA had 47 points in that overtime win against the Detroit Pistons. Victor Wembanyama had 41 points on Monday night. And Luka Doncic comes back yesterday. He suspended the game before, so obviously he's not playing the second of a back-to-back. Luka Doncic comes back, and yesterday has 42 points, also has 12 assists, also has 0 turnovers, shoots 50% from the field, hits 6 threes for the Lakers, 10 of 10 from the free throw line. Incredible. numbers that he's had over this stretch. 13 straight games for Luka with 30-plus points. Do you know that Luka's already tied LeBron as a Laker with 40-point performances? He's got 18 40-point performances as a Laker. He's tied LeBron. LeBron's been a Laker. This is his 8th year. Luka's been here for a year and some change. Yesterday, I saw this, and let's scroll down a little bit on it so we could see the MVP. So see that bottom right there says Luka MVP, so it's showing one of the highlights. The Lakers social team kind of trying to make a case here for Luka Doncic. All right, here's the question that I have. I feel like when we're having the conversation about the MVP, and again, what Luka's done in the month of March, incredible, but of course, it's not what you do in a month. It's what you do throughout a season. So in the 17 games of March, he averaged 37 points. He averaged 8 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 2.2 steals, shot 49% from the field. He did some incredible stuff. When you make a case, I think, for another player to be the most valuable player, here's what I don't hear happen. When somebody's making a case for Nikola Jokic, anybody, I don't hear anybody say something negative about Nikola Jokic. When somebody's making a case for Wemby, I definitely don't hear anything negative about Wemby. I definitely don't hear anything about Jaylen Brown. The Cade Cunningham went so far to say that people are saying, well, it shouldn't be 65 games, shouldn't be the threshold in order to get some of these individual awards. No, you should have a threshold of what to get these individual awards. And I feel bad for Cade Cunningham because he does have, I think he's at 61 games. We'll see what happens, how many more games he's able to play. But Cade Cunningham, people are trying to make a case. They want to lower the bar to make a case for Cade Cunningham based off of how many games that you play. Again, Cade Cunningham's in a different kind of category, and I feel bad for the injury. I don't feel like anybody's saying anything negative about anybody else's game other than Luka. I mean, everywhere I look, somebody's got something negative to say about Luka in order to make the case of why Luka shouldn't be the MVP. I talked a little bit about it last week, and I just think that as we sit here today, I'm not 100% sure what Luka has to do in order for people to say, yeah, and guys, he's clearly one of the most valuable players in the world. I mean, of course, you're starting a franchise today. You're putting Luka Doncic on your team. Hey, of course, what he does offensively, how he can control a game is absurd. Hey, the defensive metrics that everybody has on Luka, is it blown out of proportion? Of course it is. The guy is averaging, he's top 10 in steals so far this season. But instead, it is negative. So here's my question to everybody. Why? Why is it such a negative conversation when it comes to Luka in regards to winning the most valuable player award? Let's cue up Rui post-game yesterday. Rui's having a little bit of a conversation in regards to, this is obviously one of his teammates. I get it. I want to play one from Rui. I want to play one from, I want to play something from Luka, and then I'll bring Eric on here so he could kind of explain his reasoning for it. Here's Rui Hachimura talking about Luka Doncic.
600 points in March. What have you seen from him throughout? I mean, you can see he's an MVP. I don't really know everything about it, but I think I can only see he's the MVP in this league. What he does, what he brings to the game. Every game, literally. Just how talented offensively, and people talk about his defense, but he being witty, getting good stops, steals, and boxing out, those little stuff, he been doing everything, so it's been amazing.
All right, that's Rui. Let's pop up Luka. Luka was asked about it yesterday. No surprise. This is going to come up. This conversation is going to be part of the mix here. So I don't think that's a shock there. Let's take a listen. He's going to be asked the question. Let's take a quick listen. What Luka says in regards to the conversation. Let's take a listen.
Hey, Luka. Obviously, you're getting a lot of MVP momentum right now. Another 40-point game is only adding to that. Wemby obviously recently stated his case for why he should win. Is that something you're interested in doing as well? And if so, what would your points be?
I mean, I never did that, so I'm not the one voting, so, but I think I've been playing pretty good. We've been winning, so that's it. That's all I got to say.
That's all he has to say. Doesn't have to say anything else. Lakers are, you're making a case to position yourself come playoff time, and the real talking is going to come once the playoffs start. I've seen Luka be an absolute killer when he was with the Dallas Mavericks. Hopefully he obviously is able to do that for the Lakers this upcoming season. But I think I go back to it. Why, of all the players in the mix to be potential MVPs, how come the only negative chatter is around Luka Doncic in regards to that argument? And I don't have an answer for you, but I'm going to try to figure that out with everybody that's on this chat. Why is it that? Eric, come on here with us. Eric is producing the show and obviously helping out with everything that he's doing on a day-to-day basis. By the way, he'll be doing a little bit of a preview video tonight with Sammy. So him and Sammy will do it together. So, Eric, appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Question I got for you. You and I are having this conversation before, and you said, I'll let you say what you said. And I'm like, but is that really the case? But why do you think such negative press around Luka and no negative press around any of these other players?
I mean, realistically, I think it's strictly because he's a Laker. And if
Sounds
you
like
look at
something
it,
a Laker fan would say.
I mean, during the pre-show, you were like, hey, let's go a little deeper than that. Let's go a little deeper than that. Mm-hmm. But someone in the comments brought it up. There are stats to back this up. And the Laker Film Room podcast hosted by Pete Zayas and Darius Soriano, they did a whole podcast on why the Lakers don't win regular season awards. And through their research, they came up with, in the major award categories, MVP, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, Most Improved, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year, in the last 15 years, the Lakers have had 2.5 top 3 finishes in the last 15 years in any of those award categories. The 2.5 players to be in the top 3 was LeBron second in MVP in 2020, AD second in Defensive Player of the Year in 2020, and then Lou Williams gets a half because he was traded in 2017, 2018 to the Houston Rockets, and he won Sixth Man of the Year that year.
Can I also make a case over the last 15 years? Like, I wish if they'd have gone back 30 years, then I think it's a more interesting conversation, because let me play you the last 15 years. That means we're at 2011.
Yes.
2011 started the stretch of Lakers ain't winning ish, right?
Right.
So I think part of that also has to do with it's not a great stretch run for the Lakers. And whatever AD and LeBron were in is probably circled around the 2020 championship and how competitive the Lakers were, obviously, then. So I don't know. Look, I think, again, I'm not trying to tell you that it's because he's a Laker or he's not a Laker, but I wish it was a larger sample size, because there were also years where the Lakers were dominating or had some of the best players in the world, Shaq, Kobe, everything else. I wonder how much it changes with that.
But how come a player like Austin Reaves, for instance, he's an undrafted player. He's never finished in the top, like higher than 5th in most improved voting. So it's like, it's not just MVP and top heavy stuff in terms of the Lakers have had poor seasons over the last 15 years, and kind of the last 5-6 years has kind of really been where they've kind of started to win some more games and have better finishes in the season. But it's just crazy to me that the last 5 times the Lakers have won an NBA championship, not a single Laker coach, executive, player has won a regular season award.
Well, I think for me, the part that bothers me the most is it's not, again, I'm not, if SGA wins it, I don't have an issue with it.
I don't have an issue with it
Wemby
either.
wins it, I don't have an issue with it. If Jaylen Brown, I could sit here, I think of all the players, I could probably make the best case for Jaylen Brown because of how long they didn't have Tatum for and how impressive they were. And listen, we got a chance to see Lakers and the Celtics. Those were two ugly games. Now, that was earlier in the season, but I don't have an issue with it. The only problem I have is everyone has to make this like, let me point out the flaws Luka has and let me not point out any of the other flaws any of the other players have. How come nobody says Luka is the best offensive player in the world and can control a game because of what he does on offense? How come that's never mentioned? How come instead of saying, well, Jaylen Brown is a better defensive player than Luka, how come people don't say, yeah, but Jaylen Brown has 15% of the bag that Luka has on the offensive side? Obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit here. My only issue is there's just so much energy to go towards, well, it can't be Luka because of just this. And nobody wants to point out just how brilliant he is and how much he can control the game on the other side of the ball. I used this example yesterday in the postgame show. I was talking about how, I get that Patrick Mahomes can't play defense and he doesn't play defense. Patrick Mahomes can control both sides of the ball because he has the ball for so long on the offensive end. He controls the ball because he gives you a lead, and now all of a sudden the game plan for an opposing team has to completely change. The defense for the Kansas City Chiefs has they got a lot more margin for error because they have Patrick Mahomes on the offensive side. That's kind of Luka Doncic for the Lakers, and we don't want to give him any credit for it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's just with so much vitriol that the media is using when they're talking about Luka and propping the other players up over him, that's where I think the anti-Laker bias comes in, because the Lakers are talked about on every morning show, every debate show. They're like the Cowboys, they're like the Yankees. Everybody uses them as a conversation starter because the Lakers will just generate clicks, and it's like, hey,
which listen, I get that. And this is kind of part of the business and everything else.
Yeah.
I got no issue with it. Again, I just go back to it. There's no need to try to take down Luka. I think this is the best argument of why Luka should not be, why he shouldn't be. I'm just going to use this as an example. This might be the best argument. Yeah, but the San Antonio Spurs, Wemby's been doing it, and I don't even know if I believe this argument, but he's had such an incredible month of March, Luka has, that you maybe think, well, maybe if he was doing this earlier on, well, he's putting up these crazy numbers. The best argument against Luka is there just a couple of other players that have also had spectacular seasons and their teams have better records than you. That's the only argument that I have. That's it.
I completely agree with that argument. And to counter this comments point, what about the Lakers starting 15-4? The first 19 games of the season? Was Luka not balling out the first 19 games of the season? That's a quarter of the season.
And I think the 50% in between, that like inside 50% where they were basically just a 500 team, maybe that will be the difference of them also not being in front of the San Antonio Spurs or the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I still think obviously it's a brilliant season for him. And again, I'm not here to tell you that Luka should be the MVP. I'm just here to tell you that let's stop pretending like Luka's not one of the most valuable players. And in order to make the case for these other guys, you got to shit on Luka in order to make the case for these other players. That part I think is obviously awful. All right, brother. Thank you. Thank you for putting your 2 cents in that one. So that's Eric right there, who's obviously I mentioned, and you guys know by this point, who's producing the show and helping kind of set everything up. So him and I were talking a little bit earlier, and he's like, it's because he's a Laker. I'm like, well, it can't just be that. But I think there are a lot of people that do believe that. A lot of people that do believe, well, it's because he is a Los Angeles Laker, that's the reason why he's getting some of the hate that he's getting. Listen, all that really doesn't mean anything. If we get to the postseason and Luka Doncic is staring at the other side and it's Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs and he's doing whatever he's doing, then that's the only thing that's going to matter as we get closer to the postseason to actually get into the playoffs. Luka's held to a different standard because the Joker and Curry have rings. Yeah, I remember when Steve Nash won it over Shaquille O'Neal. Come on. I mean, that God bless Steve Nash. That was absurd. There was nobody more valuable in the NBA than Shaquille O'Neal. Was Steve Nash the best defensive player in the NBA? Was James Harden the best defensive? And I think the narrative, which is tough to shake off, is that Luka plays no defense. He's top 10 in steals. I don't care. You can mix this any way you want. If you're top 10 in steals, you're not the worst defensive player in the NBA. Like that's obviously, I don't need to explain that to everybody here. All right, let's keep going here. Let's keep rolling. Listen, we could spend a lot of time and conversation on this, but at least hopefully a little bit different or a unique perspective here. Harrah's Resort SoCal, we're there tomorrow. Looking forward to it. I got a couple things I'm going to mention here real quick in regards to tomorrow. I've heard from a lot of listeners expecting to have a nice kind of, we got this area that's kind of sealed off for us. There's a area there called Corked Bar where we're going to have a couple of TVs. We'll be able to watch the game together. It starts at 6:30, a big time game, Lakers and the Thunder. If you're available to come out, come join us, come hang out. You don't even have to stay the night. I mean, obviously, maybe if you're in the Orange County area and you're not that far, if you want to make the drive from LA, awesome. If you're in the San Diego area, you got no excuses if you're in San Diego. It's in North San Diego is where Harrah's is located. You can purchase a room stay, and this is a special rate that we have. You can purchase a room stay, and it's $99. Just go to the website, harrahsocal.com/Sliwa. Very affordable. They're very nice enough to give us a certain amount of allotments as far as the rooms go. So great stuff here, and would love to have you if you can make it. I do still have, and I'll bring this up, and this will be the last time that I do it because by the time we get to tomorrow, it's probably going to be too late. I do still have one comped room left. If somebody is really interested in coming, if they really want to come to the event, send me an email, allensliwa@gmail.com. I'll hook you up with that one comp room. This is just going to, honestly, at this point, just going to come to whoever sends me the email first. If you're available, you want to come, you want to see some good basketball tomorrow, Lakers 15-2, a big-time game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. We'll watch the game together. And then I'll do my post-game show from there. So this is the first time I'm actually doing a post-game show on site. I'll have a second mic with me. And for that second mic will be kind of cool. We'll get a chance to kind of kick back, and I'll bring some listeners on, and they could ask questions. We could talk some Lakers basketball. I'll still be very active in the chat. So again, if you want to book, harrahsocal.com/Sliwa. I got one comp room left. Harrah's has been nice enough to give me X amount of rooms. And if you'd like to come, send me an email. I'll try to hook you up with that comp room. All right. Shout out to everybody. We've had a phenomenal time promoting the event and getting ready for tomorrow. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to meeting some listeners. You know, when I was on radio, I had a lot more opportunities to kind of interact with listeners. And now it's a little bit different that I'm on YouTube, but I'll try to do it more and more. I know that we'll have some opportunities to do stuff like this. And shout out to AM 570, who's also helping promote some of this stuff as well. Okay, so JJ Redick's success, you know, I mentioned this, and I think it's just worth pointing out. I know what it's going to come down to for JJ Redick. It's not going to be going 2 seasons in a row, winning 50-plus games in the regular season. If the Lakers are out in the first round, then you can bitch and complain all you want about JJ Redick. I'm okay with it. No problem. If you make it to the second round and it's the San Antonio Spurs and the Lakers and it's a very competitive series and it could go either way, but that's it. The Spurs win and the Lakers season ends. Then I'm probably not going to complain all that much. I'm gonna say that I think the Lakers probably surpassed some of my expectations. I guess it all just depends on how they do in the second round and how competitive it is. But we got a long way to go until we get there. Here's what I will tell you. JJ Redick looks like he knows what he's doing. JJ Redick looks like he's got the team playing hard and doing the right things for what's in the best interest of the team. And I just don't have much to complain about with JJ Redick. If you want to hold your compliments for JJ until we get to the postseason, completely understand it. I got no issue with that at all. But I'm completely okay with giving him the credit right now, today, because I do think where the Lakers are sitting is not where a lot of people thought they would be sitting. And to go through this type of a stretch, you got to have a head coach that feels like he's he's pushing the right buttons. He's pulling the rope in the right direction. I think the Lakers are doing that, and I think they're obviously doing it under JJ. So, again, I'm not going to make too big of a deal of it. 50 wins in a row. 50 wins 2 seasons in a row is a great accomplishment. Now let's see what JJ Redick does in the postseason. I thought he got exposed and outcoached last year in the playoffs. I think he'll be better prepared this year. So whatever happens from it, I think JJ Redick's having incredible success as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. And 30 days ago, a lot of people said otherwise. And a lot of people have talked about JJ Redick. This guy's just a podcaster, and he only came here because he knows LeBron. Clearly, he knows some basketball because he's having the Lakers do some special things, and we'll see what happens. By the way, I was critical about JJ. I still kind of didn't understand it when the offseason came, or when the season started this year. I remember because I was in El Segundo, the Lakers training facility. Something happened in the beginning of the season. Before media day, Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick were going to address the media. So, if you were a media member, you had access, got down there, you got to ask some questions. And Rob Pelinka announced that JJ Redick was getting an extension. I'm like, extension? Didn't the guy just sign last year? Why are you giving him an extension? Can you wait to see? Why not wait till this year ends and then figure out if you want to give him an extension? Well, they gave him an extension. I was critical about that. And I just didn't think there was a reason to give him an extension. I think he already had 3 years. So I don't know how many years he has on his contract now, but he has proven that he's a really good upcoming head coach in the league. We'll wait to the playoffs and see what happens. And if you want to hold some of your, remarks on JJ Redick till after the playoffs, I'm completely okay with that. But pretty impressive couple of regular seasons for JJ Redick. So I'll keep it that way. Let's see what we got here. JJ Redick is on the ball, if you ask me, and I think it's extremely probable that the Lakers don't just get past, but bust off through the first round this year. Yeah, look, the Rockets have major flaws, very beatable, and I'd prefer to play the Rockets. Minnesota, I think there will be some, if the Lakers end up matching with Minnesota in the first round, I think there will be this payback that the Lakers will want against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think this team is better than the team the Lakers rolled out last season. I think the center position is so much better between Ayton and Jackson Hayes, what they're able to do together. We'll talk about Ayton here in a second as well. So I think there's a lot of reasons to be, positive about why the first round can be different. If there's a way that Denver collapses and they end up the number 6 seed and it's Lakers-Denver in the first round, yeah, I think that's a 50-50 series. I think that could go either way. I would prefer not playing Denver in the first round like I've mentioned before. All right, let's get some more in here. All right, somebody saying we appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. All eyes will be on JJ and Reaves come second season. All eyes will be on JJ and Reaves in the postseason. Sure. Absolutely. Sure. I think more on Austin Reaves, to be honest with you. And I really believe that the Austin Reaves conversation is a real conversation. Let me actually just get this in here real quick. I'm going to go out of order real quick, but that's okay. Austin Reaves, I've been hearing a lot of people, and I've done it as well. Man continues to slump. He is struggling from the field. He's 15 of 59 from the three-point line, shooting 25% from three over his last 9 games. I saw a stat yesterday that they mentioned in the broadcast. Billy Mack mentioned it. Bill McDonald of Spectrum Sportsnet. No one has played more minutes than Austin Reaves in the month of March. Could that be adding or contributing to his shooting struggles? Maybe there's a tie in there. But he's going to have to turn it around. And to be honest with you, nobody's going to have sympathy for Austin Reaves come playoff time. So whatever he's doing now, he's got to figure it out. What's crazy to me is that even with Austin Reaves playing poorly, still winning a lot of games. Remember, there was a time where I think their record was like 20-3 when Austin Reaves scores 20 points or more. Whether Reaves is playing well or he's struggling, Lakers are still playing well. So that's kind of interesting to watch and see some of that unfold. I think that's been an interesting perspective here. One quick thing on Marcus Smart. Not going to lie, a little bit concerned there. He's played 53 games this year. They're 39-21 when he's in the lineup, 10-5 without, which just kind of shows Lakers are winning no matter what. But he's missed 4 straight games now, 4 or 5, something like that. Right ankle contusion. I hope he's able to go tomorrow. So I just want to kind of add both of those in there. I think the Marcus Smart thing could be I got a little bit of concern there. Okay, 2 more things I want to do here before we get into NBA news, and I appreciate you guys all hanging out. One more quick reminder here. Let's just subscribe to the channel. Let's just get to 35,000 subscribers, about 300 away. Let's just kind of get that out of the mix here. Let me put that to the side here for a quick second. Okay. Eric, do me a favor. Let's play this Dave McMenamin piece here real quick. You know, I've been having the conversation about, and Dave McMenamin, someone who's been very nice with his time, has come on the show. So very appreciative of Dave McMenamin. Let me just play this here real quick because I think it's interesting. There was an article that came out that, and we've had this conversation here more recently, especially yesterday we had it with our guests that represented the Cavs. I've had this conversation in the past before, just recently, about LeBron and the way he's playing, and all of a sudden, are you kind of rethinking LeBron's future with the Lakers? Matt Issa from Forbes Sports calculated that LeBron's production value is around $19 million despite having a $52.6 million salary. So re-signing LeBron for $20 million next season seems like the right number if LeBron won't take the vet minimum. The fact that we're having the conversation about, hey, you really got to consider bringing LeBron back if you can get him at the right number. And I'm not sure what LeBron's going to do. And I saw something about Iman Shumpert was saying, hey, if he really wants to win a championship, go play in San Antonio or go back to Cleveland if you think this is like your final year or whatever the case is. The value of around $19-20 million sounds about right. I think that's we've used the number 20. So we'll see what happens coming into next season. But let's take a quick listen to Dave McMenamin, who is talking specifically about LeBron and what his future could be. And LeBron obviously playing a new role for the Lakers and excelling at it. Take a listen to LeBron.
What does that mean?
Usually he would sign like a 1+1 deal and
Right.
give him a player option in order to exercise it if he wanted to, but he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. And we'll see if he wants to retain his job with the Lakers.
Mhm.
You know, I reported in this story that the Lakers do have interest in welcoming LeBron back, but then it comes down to what the number is, right? The Lakers are going to want to fit this team around Luka Doncic moving forward. It doesn't mean that LeBron can't be part of that mix, but certainly not at the $52.6 million contract he's making right now. If LeBron chooses to prioritize his salary, there'll be other options for him, including Cleveland. There could be a sign and trade scenario where Cleveland gets off of someone like Jarrett Allen's contract. Lakers get another big man who's been a former All-Star. LeBron could go back to Cleveland. If it is about the retirement tour, no place will bring back the feels, the memories, the full circle moment like Cleveland would. But Tim and I reported on some other teams that could be in the mix. He could stay on the West Coast, maybe go play it with Steph Curry, Steve Kerr.
We've been down that road before.
He could stay in LA, go to the Clippers, maybe make some more money there.
I think that.
All right. Here's what's going to come down to. And I think, I mentioned this yesterday. LeBron's got some leverage now. And I don't think he had that leverage two months ago. And I think the leverage is, I think the Lakers got to be smart. And at the end of the day, the number one priority is building around Luka, period. And if LeBron could still fit into that mix and you can get him at the right number, then you should consider bringing back LeBron based off of what we've seen. Let's see what happens in the regular season. Let's see what happens in the playoffs as well. Like the beauty is you don't have to make that decision on April 1st. You can make that decision down the road. Obviously, it'd be smarter for them to make that decision a little bit further down. But I do think that it's worth a conversation at this point. And I don't know what LeBron's priority is. Is LeBron's priority, guys? I'm worth $100 million a year. I got to make the most amount of money. Or is LeBron's priority, yeah, F it. Come back. I'll make a lot less money. And if I make a lot less money, but I got a chance to win and continue be in my 9th year with the Los Angeles Lakers and everything's kind of on Luka's back and Lakers can improve the roster and continue to build around Luka and put together a more championship quality team, then that could also be a conversation that I think at the right number is worth the conversation. But I don't know how many teams before the season started or before 30 days ago said to themselves, yeah, I want to bring LeBron in order to compete. I want to bring LeBron in because he's still very productive in his 24th season or 23rd season in the NBA. And I think now that's a legitimate conversation. But the one thing Dave McMenamin said early on, which is the most important thing that he said, there's a number that's going to make sense for the Lakers, and there's a number that's not going to make sense. At the end of the day, if LeBron wants to prioritize winning and staying with the Lakers, then I think there's a real conversation to be had there. If that's not his priority, and if his priority is just, I got to get paid, which I got a difficult time thinking like that's still going to be the priority, but we'll see what happens. Maybe LeBron says, all right, that's enough. I did everything I can with the Lakers. That's it. I'm ready to move on. And if that's the case, the world's not going to end. The Lakers just continue to game plan around Luka Doncic. So we'll see what happens when we cross that bridge. And we're not too far away from crossing that bridge once we get through the regular season and once we get through the playoffs. And for me, I'm curious to see how this postseason run ends up going. All right, I got to read some of your comments, which I'm going to do in a second. And then I want to play that clip from Mark Cuban as well. He was on a podcast. Before I do so, shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you're looking for an absolutely free consultation, there's no money involved, nothing. You need an injury attorney. You need a professional to make sure that they can point you in the right direction. I can only imagine that you, a family member or friend, has been in a serious injury, wrongful death case, and all of a sudden you're asking yourself, what the hell do I do from here? It's intimidating. It's daunting. It's especially intimidating because we don't know the industry. I don't know how this works. I don't know what insurance companies have my best interest? Do they not? I know this. I know the person that will have your best interest is Brad Wallace and his team at the Wallace Firm. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Go to that website, a free consultation. If you're in the state of California, he can help and represent anybody in the state of California. So shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Thank you for being a great partner. It's funny watching games. I got Brad texting me the whole time. Slee, what do you think of this? Slee, why is this happening? Come on, why are you putting this guy in? Got he's like an assistant coach out there. Shout out again to Brad Wallace and being a phenomenal partner. And thank you to everybody that supports our partners. All right, I got a clip here I got to play here of Mark Cuban. Before I do so, let me just take a quick look here. Let's see what a couple of people said in regards to the LeBron stuff. If you pay LeBron $20 million, then you are not serious about building around Luka. I disagree. I'll tell you why I disagree. Tell me how LeBron has negatively affected Luka this season. Certainly in this last 30 days. I don't think he has. Luka's putting up unbelievable. Is LeBron taking anything away from Luka over the course of this last, you could really say the entire season, but specifically in the month of March, I don't think he has. What has he taken away from Luka Doncic? Now, again, the idea is that you get to go out and build your roster, and maybe the last piece that you figure out is LeBron James, but I don't think LeBron's taken anything away from Luka Doncic. And the real value from LeBron hopefully comes in the postseason. I get the idea. I see what you're saying, and I understand the idea and the concept of I'm the one that has said this, so I'm eating my own words here. I said you cannot truly build around Luka until LeBron's gone. I think there is some truth to that. I still think there's some truth to that. But my point is more that LeBron hasn't taken anything away from Luka. That's my point. Now, if you say, well, instead of LeBron, you have this player, that's a different conversation. The problem is LeBron has been really, really good in this stretch here. All right, let's get this one here. Incredible 15-2 Lakers in March. They finally beat contenders. This is a very good argument here. If you don't subscribe, you're a Celtics fan. I think there's a lot of truth to this. We have data backing this. We have a lot of data backing that statistic right there. AR does not deserve the max, in my opinion. I'd be concerned if they're offering 240 to Austin Reaves. I don't think he's going to get that, nor do I think. I think there will be a little bit of let's figure out a number that makes sense for both sides. LeBron enjoying playing Bronny in LA. He is staying. playing with Bronny. I don't think that contract is guaranteed for Bronny after this season as well. So I think there's a little bit as, I think they will have an opportunity, kind of clean slate of the James family business by the time the season's over if the Lakers choose to do so. Okay, real quick, I want to play this, and this is going to kind of work into some of our conversation around NBA news. Did you guys hear Mark Cuban recently on a podcast? And this is why, having the right ownership is so important. Listen, when Luka Doncic got traded to the Lakers and Nico Harrison and Patrick Dumon and the Adelson family and everyone else that was involved or not involved, however you want to look at it, a lot of people turned over to Mark Cuban and started asking the question of like, hey, who the hell did you sell this team to? And I want you guys to take a listen to Mark Cuban, who is explaining what happened, and this is on a podcast. And we'll play it here in just a second. And I want to give credit to the podcast. So I'll do that here in a second. We'll make sure that we credit where the podcast is coming from. But take a listen to Mark Cuban, who's talking about kind of what happened and some of his regrets. Take a listen.
You sell the Mavericks?
Because it's a big emotional commitment, right? You hear the passion and everything. Now imagine going up and down like that every single game. That's hard.
Yep.
Two, my kids, they were coming of the age where they would be of the mindset, maybe they want to work at the Mavs, and I didn't want that for them. It can be abusive a lot.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning, if fans don't like what you're doing or the team's not doing well, you're the worst human being on the planet, and they treat you that way.
Do you have any regret?
I don't regret selling. I regret who I sold to. Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes in the process.
We stopped right there. I don't regret selling. I regret who I sold it to. The Lakers don't have Luka Doncic unless Mark Cuban sells that team. The worst trade in NBA history doesn't happen unless Mark Cuban sells that team. And it is obviously, I don't have to sit here and tell everybody just how colossal a failure that was from their franchise. And Mark Cuban's got to feel a little bit of guilt by it. By the way, whether, you agree with that, you don't agree with it, I was doing my, obviously the sports show down here in San Diego, and we were, the Padres right now are up for sale. And I'm making the case here that this might be the most important decision that this franchise makes in the history of the franchise. You got to sell it to the right owner, or if you sell it to the wrong owner and he doesn't care about winning and it doesn't mean anything, it will dictate the next 15, 20, 30 years for the franchise. I don't know how much homework Mark Cuban did on who he sold the team to, but clearly it was a disaster sell, and one of the worst trades in NBA history will go down, and it will go down this way. Do you guys remember when the announcement was made that Jeannie Buss was selling to Mark Walter, selling the Lakers to Mark Walter? And I remember coming on here saying to myself that I wasn't surprised who Jeannie Buss sold to, because I do think Jeannie Buss has the best interest of the Lakers. I do think she wants to continue her family's legacy. I do think she wants to continue to see if the Lakers can have more championships than the Boston Celtics. She wants a bright future for the Los Angeles Lakers. So you know what she did? She did one of the most important things you can do. I understand Mark Walter put $10 billion on the table. She knows he's a winner. She knows he can possibly turn the Lakers around and make them a sustainable winner. Very important who you sell to. Mark Cuban's got to have regret he's got to feel some responsibility for what happened to the Mavs organization. And he's got to feel some responsibility of who he sold the team to. So he says it right there. I says it very bluntly. I wish I didn't sell it to that group. And the Lakers have clearly benefited a little bit from the fact that Nico Harrison and Mark Cuban in some shape, way, or form were indirectly involved. All right, let's get to a couple NBA stories, and then we're going to get out of here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. A couple of games last night that do have a little bit of an effect because the Suns lost to the Magic. Lakers clinched the Pacific Division. Rockets trying to stay in the mix here. They beat the Knicks 111-94. So they're trying to probably avoid that number 6 spot. Maybe they want to, maybe if they had to pick and choose, hey, who would they rather play, Lakers or the Denver Nuggets? Maybe they prefer the Rockets. I don't know. A couple of games coming up tonight. Atlanta at Orlando, Boston at Miami, Milwaukee at Houston, and Denver at Utah. And then the San Antonio Spurs at the Golden State Warriors. So 3 teams in the Western Conference still fighting for position. Houston will have a game tonight. Denver will have a game tonight. And the San Antonio Spurs will have a game tonight. All 3 of those teams should win, so it should not really have a big effect when it comes to the standings by the time today is all said and done. All right, we're going to read a last couple of comments, and then we're going to call it a day. Appreciate you guys all being here. You might as well just get random people to vote for NBA awards at this point. NBA voters are no different than random people walking down the street. Lots of pressure on Rob Pelinka this summer with all these expiring contracts we have. Yeah, we'll save it for tomorrow just because today was so packed, but there is some interest in bringing back some of these players that the Lakers have, so we can do that tomorrow. Let's get a couple more in here. Cuban just wants to wash his hands clean from the Luka trade. He can't. There's responsibility. If Jeannie Buss sold the Lakers to an ownership group that didn't care about winning, then Jeannie Buss can't wash her hands. She's going to have on her hands the fingerprints of whatever the product is. She's going to be associated with it. And if the Lakers end up starting to build a contender and win championships and they're in it every single year, she should also get credit for who she sold it to. I really believe that. Guys, ownership is everything. Business, leaders are everything. The right ownership is everything. CEOs, who runs your company, all that stuff. It all starts at the top. You guys have heard the saying, it all starts at the top. And, I think if he wants to, obviously wash his hands, I think he's going to be, listen, he brought an NBA championship to the Dallas Mavericks. So, whatever happens here, mission accomplished for Mark Cuban. But I did think he obviously sold to the wrong ownership group. Cuban sold the team and got paid. What is he complaining about? He's going to get paid either way. Generational wealth when you sell one of these teams. The money's going to be there. The question is, are you trying to build off of what you had, and do you care about where the franchise goes, or do you not? So, all right, everybody, that's all we got for today. Solid show. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Last reminder here, and then we reach tomorrow, and once we get to tomorrow, then that's it. There's really no more promoting this. Tomorrow, I'm going to be at Harrah Resort SoCal. If you still have interest and you want to come out there, harrahsocal.com/Sliwa. If you want to book a room, if you want to hit me with an email, feel free to. I mentioned earlier in the show, I haven't checked my email, so maybe somebody's already emailed me and they took that room stay. But I still have one more comp room. If somebody wants to try to take advantage of it and come out, and you can come out tomorrow, would love to have you at the event. Just send me an email. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Lakers, Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow. It's going to be a fun morning show and obviously a busy day tomorrow. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your morning. And I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Preview show coming up tonight. Sammy will be doing it with Eric. So they'll get that out at a certain time, previewing the game for tonight. Thank you, everybody.